political fight. We have a great guest, but first our weekly update.
On Sunday night, it was announced that Afghan special forces and American troops killed the leader of ISIS in Afghanistan, sending a message to terrorists that they are not safe anywhere. On October 27th, James Comey made Donald Trump president. Then on May 9th, less than 150 days later, Trump made Comey unemployed. Why, you may ask? Comey was assigned to investigate Trump's connections with Russian hacking in the election. This is not the first time Russia has hacked an election, and it definitely will not be the last. But no president gets rid of the head of the FBI. Is this just an example that Trump has no impulse control, or was they part of a larger strategy to undermine the people investigating Trump? Either way, no one is safe anywhere from Donald Trump.
Now, talking about the Frenches, this is our French update. This past week, the news coming out of France was shocking. Just hours before France was set to vote on their new president, Russia hacked a huge amount of email data belonging to the candidate and now president-elect Emmanuel Macron. Tens of thousands of private internal emails were released, just like what happened to Hillary Clinton during her campaign for president. Intelligence agencies have found evidence linking the same Russian hackers that interfered with our election as those who tampered with France's. The impact was not as strong as on their election because, by law, France has a 44-hour blackout before they begin to vote. Therefore, people were not totally aware of the hacking and its contents. Also, people who were aware of hacking were disappointed with Russia interfering with their elections. This is our end of our update. We would like to introduce our guest. He is a writer and panelist of NPR's Wait, Wait, Don't Tell Me. Please give a warm welcome to Adam Felber.
Okay.
Welcome, Adam. What do you think about James Comey?
What do I think about James Comey? He made some big mistakes, I think, during the campaign. I think he made a huge mistake announcing that they were looking into Hillary's emails again about 17 days before the vote. But I think it was an honest mistake, and I think firing him this week as he was fired, it was a little bit ridiculous.
Yeah.
You agree?
Do you think Trump decided on impulse?
I think Trump decides everything on impulse.
Yeah.
So yes.
Yeah.
But I think it was an impulse that was building for a long time. He wondered, could he get away with it? Could he get away with it? And finally, he just went ahead and pulled the trigger.
But he could have gone away with it because he's president.
He's president, right? He's president, but you know, those things can change. Nothing's forever.
Do you think healthcare is right, or do you think healthcare is a right or something that needs to be earned?
That's a very interesting question. I think it's a right. I think as long as we live in a world where we have the ability to make sick people better, they are entitled to it.
Yeah.
I don't think everybody feels that way though. Some people think it's something that you have to buy, a product.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Well, I agree with you,
Uh-huh.
but I think healthcare, like all doctors, should just be free.
Free for the people.
Yeah.
Free for the people who go to see them.
Yeah.
You see, the doctors have to get paid too. My dad was a doctor, and if he never got paid by anybody, not even the government,
But they could get.
well, I would never have been able to eat as a kid, and that would have been terrible.
Obamacare may have flaws, but do you think it would be easier to fix Obamacare rather than repeal the law?
Now, when you say flaws, do you mean flaws? Okay. So wait. Ask me again. Do you think it'd be better to fix it or repeal the law? Is that the basic question?
Yeah.
Okay. I think you got to fix it. I think repealing the law, for one thing, the replacement bill that's there right now is terrible, and a lot of people would go without health care. And so, why not fix the things that's wrong with it? And there's a lot wrong with it because it's been the law for a bunch of years now, and nobody has been willing to try to fix it. Nothing works for a lot of years without getting some fixes. I'm sure you both drive around in cars that your parents own.
Yeah.
Sometimes they need to be fixed, right?
Yeah.
Well, laws are just like that too.
Do
Oh,
you,
your parents are very nice guys. Yes. Haven't seen your parents though.
do you think Comey was onto something huge?
Huge, as our president would say. Yes. Yes, and I think that investigation is still going on. I don't know if Donald Trump himself knew what was going on with Russia and hacking, but I suspect a lot of people around him did.
Yeah, like always.
Like, do you think Steve Bannon?
Maybe Steve Bannon. There's this guy named Boris Yip. I think it's pronounced something like Epstein, but it's spelled with so many Y's and S's and H's that I can't tell. I think he probably has a campaign manager, Paul Manafort. I think he's very likely to be involved in all this. There's an advisor named, yes?
Who do you think was the most involved in it?
The most involved. Maybe Paul Manafort. That would be one. Carter Page was an aide for the campaign, and I think he's probably super involved too.
Yeah.
Does the filing of Comey remind you of Watergate?
Yeah. Well, what do you guys know about Watergate?
Well, Nixon,
President Nixon. Yeah.
President Nixon, I don't know how many people, but to break into Democratic headquarters.
Yeah. They broke into Democratic National Committee headquarters, and it's pretty clear that Nixon knew about it. But Nixon definitely knew once it had happened. He knew.
Yeah.
And then he decided to cover it up, and the cover up was the big crime. And during that whole cover up thing, do you know what he did? He fired.
Oh, he fired
the FBI director, just like James Comey. His name was Archibald Cox. Actually, Nixon had a judge named Robert Bork do the firing, but it's kind of the exact same thing that Trump did, trying to get around the investigation by firing the guy at the top of the FBI.
Yeah. Isn't the replacement of Obamacare just a tax cut for the rich?
Wait.
All right, back to Obamacare. Is it just a tax cut for the rich? It's largely a tax cut for the rich. They're trying to do stuff to limit the damage a little bit. They're trying to do stuff to make people stay covered, because if it's just a tax cut for the rich, they're going to lose the next election hugely. So they want to limit the damage, but while at the same time saving the rich a ton of money.
But, do you think how many people do you think will still be dropped on healthcare?
The first version of the bill, which came out a couple of months ago and just went down in flames in Congress, would have left 24 million people who now have healthcare without healthcare. Now, here's the interesting thing. There's no answer to your question yet, because usually when you come up with a bill this important, you wait for something called the CBO. Ever hear of the CBO?
You have to come up with the estimate of
The score, exactly. The Congressional Budget Office, and they come up with a score and figure out how many people won't be covered, how much it's going to cost. This Congress, the House of Representatives, wanted a win. They wanted a W so badly, they didn't wait for the CBO to score it. So at the moment, we don't even know how many people are
I
going to
actually
leave.
don't think they wanted the win as much. They wanted no one to know
Yeah.
the CBO was going to come.
I think it's somewhere between your and my opinion, because I think the only way that they could get that win is if they rushed it through before anybody knew. That's a nice jacket.
Thanks. Do you think Jared Kushner is qualified for the job if he cannot speak in public?
That's an interesting question. Can he not speak in public, or does he just choose not to?
Well, we never heard him speak in public.
That's true. Do you think he can speak?
Yes.
Or do you think he uses sign language?
No.
He writes down messages?
No.
Maybe like, have you ever seen gorillas who are taught to speak with sign language? Maybe he does that.
But do you think he will ever talk in this?
I think he's going to have to talk eventually, but is he qualified? I think him not being qualified doesn't have to do with the fact that he doesn't speak, because some people are shy. Yeah, you used to be way more shy than you are now. Jared never grew out of it, apparently. But the reason he's not qualified is because he's never been trained to do any of the 1,000 jobs he's just been given.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which of you? You can try doing it at the same time. I can see if I can hear them both.
Trump's-
1, 2, 3, go.
Trump's.
That's good. Yeah.
Do you think Trump's family has connections with Russia? Or?
Totally. Yes. In fact, one of the sons bragged about it. I think it was Eric Trump who bragged about, something like a lot of our business these days is with the Russians, and that was just 4 years ago that he bragged that. So yeah, they're in bed with the Russians.
What do you think about like Sean Spicer hiding in the bushes?
I think that's, it's super funny. I think it's overstated. I don't think he was actually in the bushes,
So
but
He was like back there.
yeah, but he was like back in the
A
garden. Yeah.
source in the White House said he didn't hop in the bushes. He more huddled up in the bushes
Yeah.
like a ball.
Do you know what people are making right now? They're making lawn spices, they call them, and it's basically you take a picture of it's just Sean Spicer from here up, and full color and about the size of his head, and they're putting it in their bushes in their yards. It's
Oh yeah, I saw a picture of that.
yeah, it's really funny. I want one. Do you want one?
I definitely want a bush.
What else? Oh, more from you?
Do you think Trump is just a businessman or a con man?
He's
This is interesting. I
in
don't
between.
think he's a businessman at all, to be honest with you. Not in the way that we think of businessmen. He's much more of a con man. But conning is a kind of business.
Do you think Trump is hiding something in his taxes? Or,
I think he's hiding something in his jacket, which is that he's fat and nobody ever talks about it. But his taxes, yeah. If he wasn't hiding something in his taxes, we'd have seen them by now, right?
Yeah.
yeah, but what do you think he is
He's
hiding?
not releasing any of his taxes.
He's not releasing any of his taxes. I think he's hiding them.
From like 2013.
He released a one-page statement from, was it 2013? Okay, but that's probably the 1 year he paid him.
Yeah.
But
I think he's hiding a couple of things, to answer your question. I think he's hiding the fact that he doesn't pay a lot of taxes. I think he's hiding the fact that he's got business ties to Russia and other places that he probably wouldn't want to. And I think he's not as rich as he says he is. I think this man is not nearly as rich as he says. So he'd be embarrassed for you to find out that he doesn't have $10 billion. He probably has 2.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
why he's not releasing it.
Absolutely.
what?
It's important to get to the bottom of the Russian hacking of our elections, but it isn't even important to start working on how to make sure they can't hack out the future.
Yeah. Yes.
Right?
Right, Cam, you were right. Absolutely. I mean, the thing that drives me crazy about this whole FBI probe and everything is that both sides, both Democrats and Republicans, should be madder than they are about Russia hacking our elections.
Yeah.
Whether or not the Trump people were involved, we can't have an enemy foreign power hacking
Yeah.
us.
So these are Trump's campaign buttons.
If you're offering me them, I don't really want them.
One of them is, "I like the Donald." Do you think that campaign slogan is because he's a narcissist, or do you think it's just because he wants people to say
You know what? I don't know if he had anything to do with that button, but I do think he is a textbook narcissist. Do you guys know what a narcissist is?
Yeah.
What is it?
Well, so there was this guy who he was obsessed with himself, and one day he came to a pool of water, and then he started staring at himself, and then he stared at himself, and then he died.
You took us all the way back to the myth of Narcissus. Yeah, that was his name. But that's the myth. The the kind of person who thinks only about themselves is what we call a narcissist, and I think that Donald Trump clearly is one of those. He needs to hear that he's great all the time.
Yeah. Also, if you listen to some of Donald Trump's quotes, they're like, private jets cost a lot of money, and I like Mexicans, and a lot of other quotes that are even inspirational.
No, he's not very inspirational. He's good at anger and people who are